Bearing Strait. Okay, I've not seen this map before.
Yeah.
So I suppose we should just get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 1 in a best of 5 series between... Best of 5, is that right?
Playoff 5. Just to say, no
I
matter
see.
what happens, 5 games are played.
That's okay. That's cool. I suppose we need to play all of the games because every point matters in this format, where clans and results and every game matters for your team, which I really like. Spawning on the top of the map in the color blue, we do have Stanley Winston again playing for the New World Challengers, which was actually originally my team name when I was asked for the first EPL to participate. But when I first said I could for that, I didn't realize that we would be setting up Escape, so I never ended up actually being in it, and that particular team was never actually used. I believe this is the first time they've appeared, so in a way I am a bit biased because this was my team name, and NWC has the right initials.
I would be biased a little bit too. It was yours to begin with.
And
we'll have to see whether or not Stanley can live up to it.
Right? And Wicked Cossack's the leader as well, and he's a good friend of mine, so rooting for him. But bwinner, I do really like bwinner as well. Here he is in the south of the map in the colour red, also playing as the British. It's going to be a British mirror. But so far, it looks like Stanley is in the lead. He's got 2 Dubers, which are better than Freitag. Although, having said that... Oh, that's just a 40 wood treasure. I thought that was a bit bigger.
The 40 wood treasure did go to bwinner, but Stanley Winston did also pick up a 75 food, kind of in the midst of all that. No doubt, thanks to the 2 dupers he picked up originally, so we can see that snowballing already. Yeah,
that makes treasuring much easier. I wonder how this will play out, though, given it is a mirror. Both players starting identically so far, with 2 manas each. And so far, it's just going to be a battle of treasures, which we're expecting, I think, to go to Stanley with his slightly better start, his 2 dubers there. 40 wood treasure. So far, he's also got 45 coin. Yeah, Stanley's definitely in the lead here. Only 1 treasure going to the red player bwinner so far, and that's 40 wood, so he needs to make some ground. We'll come across 30 coin, but that's not a huge amount.
Yeah, it's a little bit of ground, and it's kind of what you want. I've been looking at the scouting patterns of both players. I think bwinner is basically following the blue explorer around, but after they pick up the treasure.
Oh,
so he's just not stumbling onto anything.
Apparently, you're a bit quiet. So say something.
Hi, my name is Kemi Ryu.
Yeah, I'll turn you up.
I just talked about the red explorer. Okay,
that should be better. I'll keep an eye on it. I suppose that there's 2-minute delay, so it makes troubleshooting this really hard. I should probably pay attention to the sliders. Doing this on short notice. Looks like though Blue's just going to camp next to this 95 wood treasure and really lock down his what we call Age 1 victory. He's done a really good job of getting lots of treasures. I'm just going to guard it there with his 2 monkeys. No way would bwinner can really do anything about it.
Yeah, bwinner is just getting the short end of the stick here on this treasure gathering part of the game. I think he saw the 95 wood treasure, but he just elected not to go for it. And now he finally does pick up another 40 wood treasure for him, but not quite enough, I think, to make him happy in this first stage.
No, but it is just Age 1, but that does, as we know, give Stanley a bit of an advantage, so we'll have to see how it pans out. But so far, it is a mirror. We've seen 3 settlers from both players, and now Hunting Dogs just coming in for Stanley there. Really easy for him to grab, given all the treasures that he found, and it looks like bwinner's not going to build a market just yet. Gonna go just keep with the manas.
So we're starting to see a difference in the builds here between both players. I don't know if I like that no market decision. Stanley Winston is gonna have access to like already 10% hunting, and then 20% if he gets steel traps right off the bat. So it'll be on bwinner to make something happen with that. I want to say like window of opportunity. But we'll have to see. Like that treasure lead that Stanley got was not insignificant. He's going to age up a little bit faster, and I think it's going to matter.
Yeah. Maybe he feels like he just needs to skip the market for the time being, just so he can have all of the military structures up just at the same time. Perhaps get his market off the 700 wood when that finally comes in. We'll see. Yeah, I was about to comment on this. Go ahead.
Yeah, he just like stole that treasure with the villager. So finally,
Oh,
something
nice.
bwinner's way. But yeah, and what were you going to comment on? I think we weren't talking about the same thing.
Well, we see bwinner's putting his racks down in the middle of the map there, and it's only going to be up slightly before the blue players here. So both going sort of barracks, sort of middle of the map there, which is, we often see barracks and outposts almost touching in the mirror, and a manor here, which was, I suppose, giving line of sight as well, potentially. Either way, looks like Red's Explorer will come through. He'll see exactly where... Pardon me, got the colours mixed up. I wasn't expecting to cast. This is going horribly. It'll improve.
I haven't seen too much anger in the Twitch chat just yet, so it'll be fine. 5 Musketeers on the field for Stanley Winston to 0 for bwinner at the time being. I guess they're going to try to pick off this Explorer, but bwinner might just barely get away, I think. Yeah, he's beelining out of it.
Ha, nice. Yeah, he's definitely away, and those Musketeers are still pursuing. But it looks like they're going to give up the chase now. Going to head back. Don't want to get too far away just in case Red Musketeers... We don't see any Red Musketeers just yet. But 10 so far out for Stanley.
Yeah. We do have 4 over here. Yeah, they actually killed off both the Dubers. And so that was off screen, but I felt pain in my heart saying that.
Poor monkeys.
No kidding. But yeah.
Hopefully the sound's better, I hope.
I've been watching the stream, the Twitch chat, I should say, but so far they're talking about other things and not letting us know.
Yeah, such is the way of things. When you cast AoE3, everyone's focused on whatever political discussion or it is, whatever they is. Yeah. First deviation so far. Just to catch everyone up to speed, it looks like bwinner did get hunting dogs at the 5-minute mark, so it was off the back of, or a bit later on, off the back of that 700 wood treasure. But now bwinner following up with 5 settlers, which is economically perhaps slightly better, but Stanley is going to have the tempo. That 600 wood is going to get him an extra barracks, and indeed the XP from the manors going down as well, so which will speed up the rest of his game slightly. So far, Stanley looking solid.
Yeah, Stanley definitely a little bit ahead right now, I think. Just more Musketeers and all that, but he's not pushing his advantage. He's not... I remember back in the day when it was like H2O, playing a lot of Brit mirrors against other top levels. The first 5 Musketeers on each side would start fighting almost immediately. But both players playing this a little bit more passively, and I think that if this goes on, for the next few minutes, I think the 5 villager shipment might give bwinner an advantage a little bit down the line.
Yeah, well, at the moment the eco is identical, although that's just because Stanley's 5 vil shipment literally just came in, as I said. So yeah, I think you're right. Any second now we'll see Red get his next shipment, and then that eco graph's going to spike upwards. There's the 600 wood. We'll see a few manors come down, and that'll be the case. It's interesting. You said the first 5 Musketeers always used to start fighting. I suppose, though, in this particular match, we've got these outposts positioned, so those Musks don't really want to be getting anywhere near their opponent's barracks or units until they've got a sizable mass and can sort of confront each other, and they don't have to worry about that outpost quite as much. But looks like Stanley trying to be proactive with his units, just sort of looking around for units to kill. No villagers chopping here or indeed gathering at all, so these Musketeers sort of going to head back. Which could be a good time for Red to move in, maybe start sieging down that outpost while Blue is away. I think, though, has missed his opportunity for that. But either way, Stanley trying to be proactive and get things done. But British Mirror, at the moment, panning out to be a bit sort of a stalemate. And we'll have to see how it develops.
Totally agreed on that one. It looks like we are seeing another divergence in both paths. Stanley Winston is saving up to Age to Fortress, whereas bwinner is pumping out more Musketeers out of his barracks. So bwinner is going to have a military advantage for some time now. I think he has it right now, even if I look at... 34 Musketeers to 25. But does he know that he has the advantage? And I don't think he does.
No, if he knew, right, he'd probably... Well, he's not got a scout to check with. His explorer's dead as well, so I suppose that is part of the difficulty when playing British. You've only got the one scout. It's hard to know what's going on. If he knew his opponent was aging up, it'd be a great opportunity to sort of come in, start sieging down these outposts, the 2 barracks here, and Stanley's not got a huge army to deal with it. That's a really good point. bwinner, though, maybe he will come in and do that now, because 10 more musks just popped from these 2 barracks. He has just got his stable down, so I imagine a huss is in queue, and the most important thing, the musketeer upgrade. So he's got a big army right now, and his opponent's halfway aged.
Yeah, this is prime time to attack. But he actually added a stable actually, excuse me, and there is a raid coming forward for Stanley Winston. But bwinner did spot that pretty quickly and broke off a few musketeers to deal with that. Yeah, stable. I don't know if that's the answer you want against veteran musketeers and falconets, which we might see out of Stanley Winston in a few moments.
Yeah, and I think the opportunity to do some lasting damage is going to pass, because Stanley will be up to the next stage very shortly. He'll have 7 additional longbowmen, which will mitigate the fact that, well, it's just a few extra units, and indeed the falconet shipment will be able to follow up pretty soon with the veterancy upgrade. So definitely, I think Stanley in a really good spot. bwinner's score, though, is quite far ahead at the moment, although I think that will all catch up very quickly once blue hits the next stage.
Yep. Neck and neck, but just such a tech advantage for Stanley Winston. And he's been playing this pretty carefully so far. Neither player is really taking like a big risk. But now he does go up to the next stage to Stanley Winston. And bwinner, what does he do now? Does he attack? Is this the time to do it? Because he has the same amount of units as Stanley Winston right now.
Yeah, looks like he wants to age himself.
I don't think you can. I think you have to try to equalize the armies almost now and work with a fresh sheet of paper, if that makes sense.
Yeah, just sort of neutralize everything. The trouble is, it always feels bad to do that. If you see your opponent hit up, it's like, oh well, if I'm not in their base doing damage the second they age, that veterancy upgrade just comes in a few 30 seconds later, and then a 2 falc shipment, and it just doesn't seem worth engaging. Often it will feel like that. He's going to pick up a few of those longbows for free, though. He is halfway aged. He's going to lose this tower and probably a Rex, perhaps 2. But if he can hang on and get aged up, maybe? It's awkward, though. Stanley did steal the initiative by aging.
Yeah, he truly did.
That's what the cavalry. Yes, he gets one down. That's what he needs. That's going to help him quite a lot. That reduces the siege potential of the army, which is going to make his barracks last longer, which gives him a bit more time to get those techs up. And that's what the stable was for. We were talking about that earlier. That's what it was for.
Yeah. So those Huss are doing some work, and I like that he traded only 3 Husser and got the Falconet instead of 10 going in and the Kamikaze. But now these veteran musketeers are trading with the unupgraded musketeers.
They are so strong now. 202 hit points with the musketeer combat card in, and indeed the veterancy as well. But bwinner does get up to the next stage. Does he have a barracks back home? There's one being constructed. He's probably going to have to wait until it's created to get the upgrading queue, simply because the one out here is probably going to go down. It's just skirmishing in the middle of the map. Posturing that he doesn't really want to commit by the looks of it. If blue turned around and started fighting him properly, red's going to start running away. There's just no way he can keep up with these blue units, but we'll take some pot shots where available.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, bwinner is doing an excellent job buying time in this situation. He was slightly on the back foot, but has managed to get up to the next stage himself. He hasn't lost too many units, too many musketeers. He has lost infrastructure, but...
This is good.
Yeah.
Stanley has noticed, though. So he's going to get out of there. With the longbowmen stacked on the gold mine, although they probably shouldn't be there, it would have been ideal to take down these blue units. But now he just needs to group everything up together. He's got his 2 falc shipment. He's got his veterancy upgrade. And his units aren't that far behind. He has got a colonial musket tech in, so half as good as the one the blue player bwinner that Stanley has. Oh, it did get a shot. Look at that on the falconer. But here comes 5 hussars. Pull those cannons back! Look at him trying to do that. Get those musks into a... Yeah, they're gonna get there just in time to body block.
They just barely get in time.
Yeah, but it looks like the muskets are just going to waltz in there and try and snipe them down. He's going to trade that way. That means bwinner will get some good trades whilst the falconets shoot at the musks, and his red musks can fire back whilst the cannons tank. But cannons are down now. I think overall Stanley made the right choice there with the two muskets. Sorry, the cavalry.
He still has a falconet up, by the way.
Oh, it never went down. That's really good. And some hussars coming out. They are sneaking around the back, but I think overall, not a great trade for him there. Cavalry not a great unit up against muskets, and it looks like here, looks like Stanley has managed to come out ahead. Yeah. And
when Hussar does connect with the falconet, the hero Hussar does get it. Let's pick that up.
It does pop that down. That does like it even things out actually. Although Stanley does have the larger military mass and the better upgrades, but it does even things out a bit. So it's not over just yet. But bwinner has been spending a lot of wood on replacing these barracks, and those 5 musks come out just as it is destroyed. But you can see just bleeding out these musks as soon as they arrive, and coupled with having to replace these barracks and the really expensive trade against the falconets, Minutemen being called, but the muskets, so many blue muskets, and these cavalry really don't do very well against them. And it looks like here, I think Stanley, a 9 musket shipment though, just as I'm saying, but look, 3 falconets coming in from the back.
That's so huge. There's no way for bwinner to answer these 3 falconets, no matter what he does, unless he has a 3 culverin shipment that comes in. But he doesn't have that in deck, I think.
The last time I saw someone deal with this many falcons and come out reasonably well was Dairuga versus Lord Raphael in Game 1 of the Grand Finals of the New World Championship. I don't know how he did it, but Lord Raphael was somehow a bit of a magician and used a combination of villagers and hussars coming in from around the back, and really did a good job there. So it's doable. I've seen it happen, is what I'm saying. But it is challenging to pull off. But these villagers down the bottom, I think they need to get involved if he's going to get rid of these falcons. But if you do that, where's your eco at? It's really not good. Oh, these volleys!
Those red musketeers took so much hurt from the falconets. The falconets are just wailing away. I think that's the 4th or 5th barracks that went down for bwinner at this point, with the next one right in line to go down as well. And that's the means of production right there. Red is out, ironically speaking.
That is his 5th barracks that gets destroyed. And now, with the change on EP, these cannons are just going to clean up these manors, and you get a lot of XP for doing that, so it's definitely worth it. But he did manage to get some culverins out, and that... the double kill!
that was actually insane. 2 falcons in 1 shot, and then the last one dies as well. Oh my god. Are you okay?
Yeah, I meant to mute. I was there. It was the voice. Oh,
it's fine. You're allowed to get excited and hack your lungs out at the double culverin, kill right there. But now these villagers come forward and are gonna walk right through all these blue musketeers. That's villager massacre right there, if I've ever seen it, and not the scenario. And bwinner does call GG. Yep.
Yeah, it does feel like the end of the game there. And game number 1 going to... Stanley is playing for New World Challengers, I believe.
Yes, New World Challengers do pick up their first win, because the previous match between CMC and NWC actually went 0-5 in favor of Cuirassier Management Company. Kaiser Klein 5-0 Dairuga. So Wicked Cossack, no doubt, feeling pretty happy about that one.
Just want to take a look at shipments sent. Is there a shipment sent? The shipment total, but I don't know if there's shipment sent. Doesn't seem to be the case. Let's go with shipments total then. Well, that doesn't tell me anything. Great. Well, that's game 1. Let's head on out.
Solid win. I think from Stanley Winston, he showed no real weaknesses in that game, and he snuck in the age up and was able to capitalize on that. And I think he played that really, really well.
All right. I believe that the rules are the case that they are both British right now, but they can change. The winner picks first, right? So normal rules.
Actually, I double-checked this. I think it's all players of a certain designated team will lock civilizations first in Game 2, regardless of whether or not the player won Game 1.
Ah, okay.
But I don't know who locks first, though. And I don't know that the players know, to be perfectly fair. But we'll see. I'm just going to pretend that the players actually know the rules and work from there. Let's see.
I really like the overlay, actually.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, that looks really good.
The people who are behind like the graphics of the EPL are really good at it.
Yeah, all we need now is to add in some sound to the overlay program, so that when you show it, it automatically has like rain and stuff, and like it's on the thing, words.
I would like to apologize for a mistake I said earlier that that was the first point for NWC. That was actually not true. I think the previous series was also between CMC and NWC, but I did miss that as I only just came home from work. So you have my apologies, viewers of Twitch.
New World comebackers. Nice. Oh, I'm playing as the Germans.
As the Germans.
We can't have that. Let's play as Spanish.
Yeah.
I did have a level 131 Spanish city, but I deleted it, and I don't know why I did that. Probably because I was fed up with queuing into matches with it and having terrible decks. And I just decided, right, I'll just have one Spanish city, and that way I won't have to worry.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think I also, like, back when I got level 131 with it, I thought I would make a new one for the sake of prestiging, which I don't know if that's still a thing on Call of Duty, but back in the day, you would get to level 60 or whatever the highest level was and start again just for the sake of it.
Yeah, I know. I get that.
Stanley picking Iroquois here.
Yep. And,
versus his opponent who picked Ottoman.
Yep. Ottoman versus Iroquois on Kamchatka. Both civilizations, pretty up there in terms of their strengths. Not a lot of TPs for Otto, but enough that they're perfectly viable on Kamchatka, I think.
I must admit, this is a bit of a wonky matchup. I don't usually expect to see Iroquois and Ottoman.
Is this the official patch? This is an EP. This is the RE patch. I feel.
Yeah, you'd see it more there, maybe.
But the big difference is that Kamchatka actually has hunts on it. So.
All right, let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 2 between Stanley Winston and, indeed, bwinner. Let me show you the overlay. We have Cursia Management Company versus the New World Challengers in the EPL Season 2. Let's get into this. We'll be playing on Kamchatka, as we just said. And the players will be Ottoman and Iroquois. We'll start with the Iroquois player. He is, indeed, on the bottom of the map in the colour red. An all-food start, bar, of course, 1 coin. And that Travois probably going to have a scout around before it places itself down into a house. Villager starting to herd the Garger goats, and does pick up Duba right away with his Explorer there on the way to the center of the map, where he's going to come across 2 goats. So a nice start. Wants to find those livestocks ASAP. His opponents, however, the Ottomans, on the other hand, have actually elected to build a trading post, which is what we usually see them do, but it does mean on a map, especially where there's livestock like Kamchatka. Ooh, sharpshooter almost takes down Duba and indeed gets finished up there. Not Duba, Freitag, I believe, actually. That's rather unfortunate. I think he was there looking for those goats, and it looks like down here he could have gotten them, but actually Stanley does get them in the end, and he loses his Duba, which is, I think, why Duba was here in the first place, but getting in range of the Iroquois Explorer is a little bit awkward, simply because they have that crack shot ability, the Eagle Eye.
Yeah, no kidding. That's somewhat of a rough start for bwinner. Stanley. Okay, there we go. Stanley almost walking away from the 40 wood treasure, but yeah, rough start for bwinner. I think losing his Freitag already when there's livestock to find, and your Explorer is building a trade post early on. So a little bit of a win for Stanley right there. Kind of reminiscing what happened in the first game with his Age 1 start, and he's going to fight this 80 wood treasure right off the bat as well. Whereas bwinner is kind of scouting somewhere else. Yeah,
that's going to be awkward. I mean, bwinner's playing Ottoman, so he's going to be pleased that he's got one of his best civs, a civ that he's very comfortable with, plays a lot, and will be familiar with. But after that really awful Age 1 start in the previous game, and now this, he's probably not going to be feeling too good. He's going to see this 80 wood treasure pop up on the screen on the left-hand side here, and bwinner's probably going to think, crap, another glorious Age 1 for my opponent. This doesn't feel very good. But
yeah, no kidding.
It is only Age 1.
You feel in a best of series, right? You don't want to get a bad Age 1 2 games in a row.
Here it comes. Dude, these goats. How many did he get? He's got 5. 5 goats back at home there, and there's still one on his side of the map to get, just sort of near the crossing, and there's a couple up in the top that neither player have found. So he's gotten a lot of goats. He's no kidding.
I don't know why he's flaming the goats. Those goats didn't do nothing yet.
Oh.
So
fixed zoom. My apologies. I thought I had fixed that. Clearly not. That looks really. Inter doesn't always forget. That's the second time. So that's not always, but it is 2 times more than I should have done. So point taken.
It's fine. It looks like bwinner does find himself a 50 XP treasure up here. Does he start it or not? There is a goat there as well that he can pick up. Hopefully bwinner is nicer to his goat than Stanley is to his. And yeah, I really liking the Age 1 from Stanley Winston right now.
Yeah, now going up to the Colonial Age, chopping for his, indeed, war hut, and now a villager being pulled off to go and construct it. No, actually, I think that's just being used to herd there, but certainly chopping all the wood he needs in transition, and still has that coin on the floor. We'll be going up with the Wise Woman, and is quite far behind the Ottoman player in terms of age time, though that is something we have come to expect from Ottoman, and get themselves up nice and quickly, and has indeed chosen to go up with the 400 wood politician there. And I'm sure we'll see him build his barracks and indeed houses from that as well. So, any inclination how this tends to play out?
Yeah, I've been sitting here looking. I'm not familiar with Ottoman play all that much, but if I had to guess based off like the food and the resources stacked by bwinner, he's just going to go for a straight FF, perhaps into Janissaries and Falconets, because Iroquois does not have the. I don't want to say they don't have the tools to deal with artillery, but it's always slightly more awkward for them to deal with that than it is for a vanilla civilization. But I'm not sure what Stanley's going to do.
I must admit, like 4 settlers coming out. Huh.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't think I've ever seen Ottoman send that in all the time that I've casted competitive Age of Empires 3. What on earth? It's not even a good shipment. I mean, if it was 5 settlers, then sure, but settlers at all with Ottoman? What's he got in mind? I wonder if that should be a 5 settler shipment. I really don't know. I'm not sure if it would matter, even if it was. But that Travois has been caught. He's being snared, but should be okay. Plenty of health. Looks like, though, Tomahawks have been called. The scouting party
Yep, scouting party is at the scout, or a little bit more than that, I think. The war hut does get put down in the middle of the map. And Stanley Winston, is he going for like a semi right now or not? What's his next ship? 5 villagers on the ground for Stanley Winston.
bwinner has to be sending 700 coin. Like, that has to arrive any second now, otherwise this build just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I just kind of wonder... Okay, how much does this delay his age up, though? Part of me wonders, like, has he tested this out? I'm sure he's done this before and knows exactly all the timings, but part of me feels like 700 coin should have came before the 4 vill shipment. Or maybe he's figured it out and actually it doesn't change the age up time at all. I'm going to assume it's the latter because he's the one doing this peculiar build, and I don't think he'd just bring this without having thought it through. But it is now going up, going with the Exiled Prince, so not even the slow age option that we've come to expect from Otto. Normally you would go up quick just to get... Oh, he's going up quick and he will have a shipment available, so that's good.
Yeah, I guess he decided to go for like which is very strange for Ottoman play, but like an economic fast fortress. You go up with the Exiled Prince and you squeeze in the 4 villagers. If that's good or not, I wouldn't know, but I guess we're about to find out and see whether or not bwinner is able to...
I'm really interested. This is quite interesting.
On the other side of the map, Stanley Winston is getting 600 coin and going for his own semi-fast fortress. So... yeah, we're going to see some fortress versus fortress play out of both players right now.
Yeah.
Wait, are we? We don't have a... Oh, hold on. I'm trying to think here.
He's fast fortressing. I mean, one thing's clear. He sent his 600 coin. He's now just got the age up in queue. It's going to go up fast with the messenger there, and we'll hit up with a shipment available. Basically, we can see there's really not that much XP left. But it does seem that Stanley is like a whole 40, 50 seconds ahead of his opponent, which is pretty good, it's almost like a shipment and a bit. He's got his barracks in the back there, so he's clearly expecting aggression, which has just not been the case at all. Everything's pretty fine for him, and he's now going to add a second... Oh, that's a town centre!
Yep, that's a town centre. The bwinner is who was confusing me for a second there, because he chopped 400 wood... with a ton of villagers and shipped 1,000. Are we going to see like an in-base?
This is an auto eco build. Yeah, I mean, he's now getting the speed upgrade. Abbasid Markets. That's the second speed upgrade. I guess it's twice as effective when you have 2 town centers. And I have a feeling he's going to build a 3rd.
Yeah. Well, what else are you going to build with 1,000 wood? That's the town centers.
They only cost 500 wood. Now getting the coin upgrade as well. The one that costs coin, I should say, to enable larger population build limit. But this is through and through an auto eco build. Looks like, I mean, 3 TCs pumping out vills for free. In theory, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it does. I mean, if you check the manual that came with the game back in 2005, I'm pretty sure that that's one of the things you were supposed to do.
He must have read up on on some strategy there. Okay, let's see what Stanley can do about this. He's up himself. He's playing a more, how shall I say, standard, I suppose. 8 Forest Prowlers as his opening Fortress Age shipment. I mean, a Skirmisher shipment is pretty normal for any Fortress Age build. And with that, it's just going to use the range of the units to try and snipe some vills. Is successful, does take down 1. Doesn't get a second there. Does snipe down a Janissary as well. And Forest Prowlers, this is why they're good, right? Like we see, a second bill go down. You can just snipe units in the base because of that extra long range, and they're really, really good against the Janissaries here. But he does have 2 TCs, and both have villagers inside, so the units here, if they stay too long, are just going to get dwindled down. A villager does pop out, but does thankfully go back in. Is focusing the Iroquois Explorer. That's a big key target. If he can take that down, there's now 10% less hit points in all of these units to deal with. So in a way, he killed a lot of hit points doing that, which is really, really nice. And it's only Forest Prowlers. They're just standing here amongst the 2 TCs. Sure, they're belling up the entire eco, but they're very vulnerable to a shipment of 5 Hussars or perhaps Spahi or Mameluke. We're not going to see that, though. Those last 2 cost quite a lot, and we know Stanley just doesn't have the, bwinner just doesn't have the eco for it. But he's got balls to be standing here.
Yeah, but out of all the shipments you just mentioned, it's actually 8 Janissaries that comes in. I've been looking at the units in Q tab and waiting for some Abyss to come in, but no.
Yeah, he's got that Foundry in the back, doesn't he?
Yeah, the Janissaries are now up to the veteran upgrade. But bwinner doesn't even have like coin for Minutemen at this point. I think he's trying to get that coin, but he has not been able to just because of the Forest Prowler just immediately hopping onto that.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a market either to sell a bit of wood or something. But these skirms are just bleeding out. So many have died to the TC fire, and they just have so little siege. They've not really got very much done at all. Although now Tomahawk's starting to come in, which are obviously much better at sieging. The Janissaries, they see those skirmishes, or I should say Forest Prowlers, sort of creeping on the back to see if there's any villagers gathering. And these Jans do get a few pot shots off. And now trying to get out of there, since of course very weak to the elite Forest Prowlers. But the two TCs have done quite a lot of work. Yes, his whole eco's belled up, but that's a lot of Forest Prowlers going down. I wonder how it's hard to know how valuable it was, because this whole eco's just not been working.
Yeah, but here's the thing: the other thing I've been thinking about is that these town centers are still producing the villagers, even if no food is incoming.
That's such a good point. There are two TCs. Holy crap!
Yeah, you can bell my economy all you want. I'm still going to have very good villager production, and two town centers firing at these Forest Prowlers. I think. Look at the scores. I think bwinner is actually kind of okay with this.
Yeah, and he's gonna have a shipment surely arriving. There it is. 5 husks pop out. Can he get the coin? He's got one villager gathering. It looks like Red's just going to commit to the TC. Surely that's not the right thing to do. Yeah, the Tomahawk's going to get onto the muskets, cavalry. They see an opportunity to do bonus damage. Now switching over to the Jans, who's trying to keep this TC alive. All bwinner has to work with are these Janissaries. Does kill off the Aero Explorer there. And the Hussars as well. That's all he's got. Potentially Minutemen. Just trying to switch villagers over. Yeah, that TC does go down, but preemptively getting the Vils into the next TC. Nicely done. And we'll finally get enough coin for Minutemen. It is a bit of a shame for bwinner that he did not manage to get Minutemen out of that TC that he built, since, of course, they are really, really strong for the amount you pay for them. And indeed, there is no kill XP, so your opponent doesn't even get anything, isn't rewarded anything for killing them. But did not get that, and that is a big deal. So Stanley going to be pleased that he's at least got that going. But now, it looks like this fight will be forced to happen. We see Minutemen popping out of this TC, just as Kanya's coming in. I must admit, though, bwinner does not look like he's in the leading position. I think here, Stanley will be able to dispatch all of these units.
Yeah, I agree. Those Hussar joined the fight, but got immediately pinned down by the Kanya Riders, and the Janissaries were kind of awkwardly standing around the town center, firing their 24 ranged attack, which is not that special. It's for a musketeer unit, and I think these Janissaries end up getting cleaned up by Stanley Winston. He leaves 2 alive, I guess. Well, why not? But
yeah, I guess he just wants to start targeting the TC again. There's not really enough units. If he's following these 2 Jans around, he's not sieging. It just feels like a waste of time. The Jans are going to come to you. They're going to want to get pot shots in here. And now he can turn around with these Tomahawks, or perhaps even these Forest Prowlers, which would be much better at killing the 2 Jans. And they are going to just turn around and sort of deal with them. But not looking too good for bwinner. I really like this build. It was really interesting, that's for sure. But it looks like Stanley knew what to do. It looked pretty awkward to us when he was sieging a TC with only a skirmisher army, but adapted into Tomahawks, which are of course much better at sieging. And it's interesting because you don't really want to be making Tomahawks once you got to the Fortress Age, but you sort of have to in that position. So in a way, Stanley's build, not ideal to deal with what the Ottoman player does, but how often do you see someone open with 2 TCs? Falconets, though, don't look like they're going to get too much done. The ×2 multiplier, 1.75 on the Kanya, quickly bringing down those Falcs. And I think that really was a last-ditch effort from bwinner to hold, but just not enough to protect the Falconets.
Oh, absolutely not. bwinner's army gets cleaned up once again, and he's down to 0 unit military population, whereas Stanley Winston is on the... Well, I was going to say on the verge of taking down the town center, but he sieged it before I could finish the sentence. And now all these villagers are forfeit. I think Stanley took down the TC and took the game.
Yeah, I think so. GG coming out from bwinner.
Yeah. Quite the build. I wonder what would happen if you take a little bit of that wood and you make some walls maybe and ship the Falconets instead of the Janissaries. As that, was it 5th shipment? Yeah. Might have been a different game. That was a really cool build out of bwinner.
cool, but doesn't seem like it was overly effective. It was. I think it looked promising, especially when, the units that Eero train, or indeed any Civ, Skirm Goon's just not all that good at sieging, and there is no 2 Falconet shipment or something like that for Eero, which would be quite effective against buildings. So I kind of see why he decided to perhaps go for a build like that. But ultimately, Stanley knew how to respond, even though it was costly in terms of skirmishes. But, and does in the end take the victory there. Let's take a look at the post-game, all resources gathered. I think that'll be interesting to see. Yeah, his eco just flatlines here, which is not ideal. I mean, if we take a look at units lost, it will look pretty bad for the red player. Here it looks good in terms of resources lost, but let's go to unit population. You've done this before, interjection. You know where unit population is. Here it is. No, I found it.
There you go.
Actually, it doesn't look all that bad for him either.
Yeah, the town centers were idle, but doing a lot of work, I guess. But,
yeah.
I mean, if your economy flatlines the way it did, it's just not enough. It was 10 vills in one TC and 18 in the other. If those last 8 villagers had been gathering resources for Minutemen or something, might have been a different story this game. Maybe.
Well, 2-0 to the New World Challengers. Can't say I'm super upset.
No, it is your team after all.
And I think in the previous series, New World Challengers lost, so a victory here would be nice.
Did they? I can't remember. I like I said, I wasn't paying attention to that series, which is how I managed to say completely false things earlier on. But yeah, I don't know. So far, Stanley Winston with a 2-0 lead, and he's probably feeling pretty good about himself. bwinner was top 10 in the L rating rankings not too long ago, and I expected him to be a pretty strong player. I think for CMC, but then he auto TC booms.
It was an interesting build.
It really was. It really was.
Okay, up next.
I would like to see it again. Yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah, up next.
French versus China on Adurandax. I feel like Stanley's pretty good with French. I think that's one of his vanilla civs, or one of his main civs, I should say.
Yeah. Is bwinner known for China? And again, I do apologize. Not followed every player as religiously as some of the other ones that I'm fans of, but bwinner is China is not something that rings, that stirs my memory, if that makes sense.
I'm not sure, but he did pick it pretty quick. He really slammed the civ choice in, so it seems like he was confident all the same. And really, how hard can it play to beat? How hard can it be to do the traditional China FF? I mean, there are some funky things you can do with it, but I think it's not too difficult just to make a fast fortress.
bwinner is still an Ottoman player, no matter how you slice it, I suppose. And yes, that is a little bit of ribbing out of myself, but I'll leave it to you to introduce the players.
In the right-hand side of the map, in the color red, we do indeed have bwinner. Currently, the score is 2-0, so he needs to pick up a game. He needs to pick up some points. It is a play all 5, so he has a number of opportunities to do that. With his monk going to pick himself up 40 wood right away, and getting those villagers onto a couple of trees there, and the rest on food, and we'll see him head towards that trading post. Probably will get the pass simply because the Travois dude, I think if you're spawning on the right hand side, you do have a bit of extra time to grab this trading post. We will keep an eye on that though. Where is the Travois? Yeah, he'll be okay. Looks like that's going to get up just fine. So stopping for that wood treasure seemed reasonable to me, and we'll get his pass of XP all the same. And now just looking to chop that last remaining bit of wood for the village, and he will be done with that. On the left-hand side of the map, though, in the colour blue, we do indeed have Stanley Winston playing as the French here. Really nice herding. Look at those deer underneath his TC. I imagine we'll see him shoot one dead straight underneath, so any new villagers can pop out immediately onto the hunt, which will be really, really nice. But he's chopping wood too, And now switching over to food. Exactly 100 there. No overgathering at all. That's enough for his house. It's enough for his trading post. That's enough for him. And now his explorer can get to work. A nearly mature bear cub that you can tame. A nice treasure there, but perhaps a bit ambitious, because we do see coming in the Chinese monk. You never want to get into combat with him. He's got a lot of health. He can snare you. He's pretty strong in combat. And he's got the treasure guardian on him as well. And look at that. bwinner picks that up under his nose, but does manage to get his explorer away without being snared. He saw his opponent got him before he did and thought, right, I'm not messing around, not wasting any more time. I know I can't get the treasure. I'm going to get away before he can snare me, and I'll be all good. No point committing to a lost cause.
Absolutely. bwinner finally getting the age 1 start that he wanted. He did pick up 80 food just prior to stealing the bear away from Stanley Winston. So
Big
things are
oof.
finally going his way, I think. And now he's poised to take this 90 food treasure over here. He's going to age up quite early.
Yeah, this is a pretty beautiful start. Look at that, just absolutely slaying these creatures. Someone call the RSPCA. I don't know what it is in other countries, but the one that looks after the animals.
I don't know either what it is outside of. I don't know what it is in any country, but yeah, I do understand what the joke, and I completely agree with that. Looks like
Oh god, this is disgusting! This is actually disgusting. Oh, Stanley. Oh no. Yeah.
Stanley's not happy with that.
That's exactly the reaction that I would expect. He's going to come in and try and steal. No, he's not. He's just like, nah, you've got that treasure, my friend. Perhaps he can crack shot the bear. Oh, no, wait, he can't. It's not a treasure guardian. It's Gentle Pete.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, he can't even crack shot that. bwinner picking up 75 wood as well on top. He's really, really on top of it this game, so... finally, the start he wanted.
Yeah.
Both players up to the next stage.
To be fair, though, China, if there's any Civ, it will be China that gets a good age 1. They've got a really tanky hero, that stun ability, and indeed, you start with a Disciple, and he even found a bear, or had some good luck stealing a bear, I should say. So if you're going to get a good start, it's going to be with a Civ like China. And also finding a scout, so quite the party of Pokemon he's got here. But yes, as you said, both players up to the next stage. bwinner not doing anything unusual. Summer Palace coming down. His opponent starting with 3 vills, and we see Northern Refugees as well. So completely normal things here. Stanley has got his market down during transition, and he's got his Hunting Dogs upgrade on the way. Looks like he's also chopping for steel traps, as we usually see, and we'll get that, as well as placer mines, I expect, after this Hunting Dogs upgrade. So normal French things. Let's turn it to recalculated so we can keep an eye on that. There's placer mines coming in now. 2 forward villages in the center of the map there, and it looks like he'll be launching a forward base from this position. Possibly a stable, maybe a barracks. I think against China, raiding's really quite... Well, you want to disrupt those villages as much as you can as they try to gather the resources for the next stage. And whilst they're sort of in transition, they haven't trained any units, so you can get a lot of belling up done and keep those villages idle. So I expect to see him take full advantage of that, and he's going to start with the barracks and use musketeers for it. Perhaps he can even siege down a village if he's very, very lucky. Certainly this trading post, though, I expect that will be the more likely candidate for the musketeers whilst they're not harassing the villagers.
Yeah, it's actually a double racks musketeer rush. So
Oh.
Stanley's not messing around.
Okay. Yeah, normally we see players sort of just want to disrupt their opponent. They're not really committing to a full-on assault. They're just trying to get a bit of damage done, and they themselves are really going to do the same thing, go up to the next stage like China. But I think here we're seeing the Samwise build, so to speak. 2 barracks down, units in queue, 1 musket at each building. Or actually, no muskets in queue at either building just yet. Going to build this house here, and then I expect we'll get a musket in queue. And the 700 wood is going to be used for a bunch of housing and indeed upgrades. Let's take a look at text complete. No, he got steel traps earlier, so it won't be used for upgrades. But it looks like the barracks have been scouted by the stealth Nat Scout, and in response, is going to throw up a quick wall around his base here.
Yeah, he's not messing around, and that's a really good wall. It's the hunts are safely tucked away. But the coin mine's a little bit exposed because they're acting as like the end pillar of the wall. I think this is going to do really well here for bwinner. It's going to buy him all the time he needs to head up to the next stage. And 8 Choconu on the field as well. This is going to do wonders in pushing away the Musketeers, of which there are only, let me double count that, yeah, 6 Musketeers.
Oof. Not. Oh, no, there's a few more coming. It was, I think, oh no, that is just 6 Musketeers. I thought I was a page away and that there was 6 more a bit further down off my field of view. Looks like he missed opening with 2 barracks and not being able to get a full batch of each feels a lot like wasted potential. Perhaps he'll, now that he's got steel traps and everything's fully chugging away and up and running, he can make full use of those barracks. But yeah, not an ideal opening. Although bwinner did send those 2 Choconu, so equally bwinner did react as if there was going to be that number of musks. So not super bad at the moment, but yeah, we certainly could have seen a few extra musks, and they could have perhaps got a bit more done if there were more of them. But now down here, going to be sieging this trading post with what he has. Perhaps he'll see that villager as well. Where is she going?
She's trying to herd the hunting, but I don't think she'll be able to. Gets pushed away by a single musketeer, so she does get away to safety. The Choconu to come forward to snipe this musketeer. Yep, down he goes.
Yeah, 8 Choconu are going to get that done, and we'll be able to easily defend that trading post there. Those musketeers looking to try and escape. It looks like, though, there's nowhere else to hide. They're going to have to walk up against the edge of the map, and the Choconu, because of that angle, are going to be able to get in here and do a lot of damage. And it looks like, if he's careful, he might be able to take them all down. Getting quite a lot of those musks, and this is really one of the problems of not getting perhaps a fuller batch, where you might be able to put up a bit more of a fight. Losing some musks here. It looks like he went with the 2 barracks in the center of the map, but didn't really commit to it, and is now, I've just noticed, going up to the next age. Since 700 coin is going up with the age fast option.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I feel like you kind of like, okay, you know what, I cut my losses, I forced out some walls, and I think Stanley Winston was more behind from this situation than bwinner was. But go up to the next stage because you can't afford to real quick, and have the Falconet shipment ready, something like that.
Yeah.
But everything's going bwinner's way this game. Like, his 8 Choconu got value. Like, he got value out of that shipment. Like, so many musketeers died. He defended his trade post. This villager and this hunt ended up getting protected by the 8 Choconu. No doubt because Stanley didn't commit to his musketeer rush, but I mean, there you go. Like, bwinner's walking on whatever the rest of the expression is.
Sunshine. Whoa.
Yeah, sunshine.
He's going to kill that native scout, though. The explorer does get picked up, and we'll see stealth, and we'll chop that guy down. Stanley is up to the next stage. Has got a batch of skirms out, and we'll see his first shipment arrive shortly. If he can take down that monk, well, that would be impressive if he could take that down. It has a lot of health. But what he will be able to do is poke now with these skirmishes, which is quite nice. 3 Cuirassier coming out as his first Fortress Age shipment. Traditionally much better when there's a bigger mass of them, but against China specifically, and against this composition as well, going to be really good. Adding cav in nice and soon, nice and early. Those are going to be really, really helpful. Let's see if he can lure him away. No, bwinner not going to take that risk. Going to keep his ranged infantry close to his walls, close to his hunt. These hammers popping out. Going to get straight on top of the skirms there, but thankfully the cures are nearby, and we'll be able to contest that. Looked dicey for a moment, but he's okay. Couple of cures retasking onto the low HP Expos or Choconu. But Changdao and a few Pike coming in just in time. This game, all of these units appearing just as they need to be here.
Yeah, no doubt. The Cuirassier is right on top of the Chinese cav. I think Stanley Winston was able to shave off just enough of bwinner's Chinese army before the big fight happened that he's going to do pretty well in this fight. But 4 reinforcing cavalry units out of the War Academy do join the fight as well. And these Cuirassiers get a lot done. But
let's take a look at units lost and see how that went. So 6 cures and 6 musks and 3 skirms. Well, you can see, guys. I won't explain it all out. Traded for 11 Choconu and a few other units. I think overall, that seems... Oh, and a village went down in the midst there as well, unless he deleted it. Not sure. It looks like that actually went quite well for China, I think. Cuirassiers are really, really expensive, but not by any means a failure from from Stanley, that engagement, but I think it did go to bwinner. Either way, does look like Stanley is ahead in terms of score. He's now got 5 more cures on the field. And it looks like they are going to sort of look around. No villagers here for him to kill. And he's got a big army at the moment. 28 military population to only 10. So this is a good opportunity to get in and do some damage. Though, we will probably see another banner army from the Summer Palace. And a shipment is due any moment now for China as well. So his military pop is going to jump back up. Vil does get taken down, that low HP one from earlier. And I suppose this is awkward. He had to build these 2 villages out here. The hunts are not super ideal for China. He'd rather they were perhaps behind his base. But he has to make do with what he's got. Now, at the moment, Stanley very, very far ahead. 5 goons coming in, and we still haven't seen a shipment from bwinner. Those meteor hammers, or the China Cav in general, trying to get close to the skirms, but he sees the goons and nopes out. 9 Manchu! Okay, that's what we were waiting for. That's why his military pop looks so bad. But now, that's a huge, huge power swipe. I tried to say swipe and spike at the same time, I think. That didn't work out too well, but this is what he needs.
That's a big one. Manchus are going to answer, these cuirassiers like so well. Like it kind of like disarms the French player of the cuirassier mass. But Stanley Winston at least is in a position to like pump out a bunch of skirmishers from his double racks. So that's one thing that he has got going for him.
Yeah.
And China's kind of like hiding away. Interestingly enough. So yeah. Stanley Winston is, despite all things, going bwinner's way right now. He is starting to work on this village right now, and there's like a somewhat of a contain going on here for the Chinese player.
And that makes sense, right? All his hunts are next to these 2 villages, which are, being used as garrison points for the Vils, but there's no China units to defend them at the moment. China's having to sit back. He doesn't feel like he has the strength to engage the French army that's on his doorstep here. France doesn't really want to go anywhere. He's happy to sit on these hunts whilst he powers up and just trains more units. He's got 2 trading posts in the back of this. The French economy is always really good. And up, where are the hunts for China? He's not got any. He's eating a few, I think, next to this market. There's 1 elk there, having to rebuild that village. There's another elk, but really not very many hunts left at all. Both those villages going down, and now Stanley needs to make a real game choice. Those were easy pickings, very obvious what to do. Stand on the hunts, destroy the villages. But now he needs to decide what his next course of action is, and it appears he's just going to wander down, destroy this trading route, keep piling on pressure on these buildings here. But it does give bwinner time, doesn't it, to get units out, and that is what he's managed to do. He's got the 2nd mercenary shipment, Iron Troops, coming out, and now France is turned. Doesn't feel like they can commit to this. Looks like he's just posturing. No, he's going to commit to a fight.
That's a tricky fight to take, I think, for the French player. That's 2 mercenary shipments, which is a huge amount of firepower, really. So the Iron Troops and the Manchus are doing quite a number here on this French army. Look at that.
They are absolutely. They have 60% range resist. I mean, we always knew this, but they are absolute monsters when it comes to tanking skirm fire, and indeed dragoon fire as well. In fact, everything he has is not overly strong against these super tanky units. However, he is and does have a lot of skirmishes. The 7 skirm shipment, and as you mentioned earlier, the 2 barracks just pumping away. So he can keep the units up, but I think with that reinforcing batch of arquebusiers, that is the numbers he needs. The red player it is to really force blue away. Not going to take that. I think overall, Stanley got a lot of work done. He killed 2 villages, denied these hunts, and managed to kill the trading post as well, whilst bwinner was getting ready. Ooh!
He needs to get that up as soon as possible and then garrison the villagers inside. This hunt is a lifeline for bwinner, isn't it? Like he needs to start gathering hunts out of that. That fight went really well for him, but it's not enough to like get him out of like this hot water.
Yeah, it looks like though the Iron Troops and the arquebusiers are going to be able to come up here, and those villagers can get back to work. And now that he's got all these units on the board, whilst he lost those, as I said, the village and that, but now he's in a position where he can gather again. He does still have this hunt back at home that he was gathering from earlier, so he does have access to food. Cures coming in, really strong against the Iron Troops. These are the counter he needs, but Manchu there are ready to meet and greet him, and it looks like the Cures won't want to take that after all. Falconets. also very strong against the Iron Troops, and indeed pretty much everything else China has except the Manchu. Does get 2 nice volleys, takes down a few of the Iron Troops. That's what he needs.
He had 9 Iron Troops prior to those volleys, and 4 went down in like the first shot. Like that was perfect for Stanley Winston, because those Iron Troops did so much. How many skirmishers did they kill? Like I wish we could see like units killed by each unit almost, because those Iron Troops did so well. But now these Falconets are going to be really tough to deal with, I think, for bwinner.
That is, I suppose, the next question being posed to bwinner. How do you deal with 2 Falconets? Manchu, like all cavalry archers and dragoons, they have extra multipliers. China Cav are pretty good against them as well with the extra range. But there's a lot of cuirassiers here. It looks like the Manchu are in position to deal with these. Okay, the musketeers going to go into hand combat up against the dragoons and the cures, which seems ideal since the Falconets are there.
Wait.
They do get packed.
That packing was bad. That's like a volley that was. bwinner's answer is to just slam everything in. Look at that.
And it worked out beautifully.
Wow, it did.
An extra volley would have been ideal to squeeze out of those Falconets. There's a lot of low hit point arcs here, including the muskets as well. Might have been able to take down, you know, four units or so in a single volley. Losing that last cannon volley was not ideal.
Yeah, that really shot like Stanley Winston in the foot. Even if he had like lost the fight, it would have been like a closer loss, which is what you want in this almost stalemate of a situation. Another 5 cuirassiers are here on the field, 4 skirmishers as well for the French player. So, you know, it's not really game over. Like both players are.
Big raid.
Oh,
big raid. Ooh. That is disgusting. That's a huge raid.
Oh, that is. That hurts so much.
Yeah, although it doesn't help him militarily. China still has a lot of units and a lot of siege as well. Disciplined Changdao coming in. Going to lose these 2 barracks in the middle. It is, however, what Stanley needed to get some economic damage done. He already had a bigger eco. The French eco is something to be reckoned with. It does get very, very big. And that's going to put it even higher. He's building an outpost. If he can get that up in time. There's only one dude building it, though. And he's going to focus it down. And that outpost is so nearly complete, but will not go up. And it looks like the China Cav will even up the raid from earlier as well.
Another possible big raid incoming right now. Look at all these villagers. 5 villagers. This is what they want.
Get into the village. At least there's a village here this time. But no spirit medicine, or well, it's not called that for for China. But you know,
it is spiritual. We'll say that though. A lot of villagers going down on that one.
Yeah, but he does get, at least there's a village for that raid.
Yeah. So the worst was avoided in that one, but okay, bwinner absolutely needs to press the military advantage that he has right now. The game is lopsided. bwinner with 51 to 19 military unit population, and then Stanley Winston with 47 to 23. So bwinner is on a timer right now, and if he hits his timing, he will, you know, possibly win the game. But he has to go now.
Yeah. I mean, you say he has to go now, and I agree he should definitely go now because he's got this huge advantage, but he seems so far ahead militarily that I think he does have time to wait around. Obviously, you wouldn't do that, but this is a big, big military lead is the point that I'm making here. So even though the French eco does appear to be huge, I think bwinner, despite losing all those vills, still in a really solid position. There's a lot of houses here that he's going to be able to tear down quickly with those, especially the Changdao, but also, of course, the Redcoats. And we'll take a look around at the French army. It's just not that big. There's a lot of cav here, which are going to threaten, which is, you know, the mostly skirmisher army. bwinner's looking solid. He's just going to try and take this fight. He needs to force as many fights as he can.
Yeah, because he has the military power to. 5 dragoons come out, not work.
One thing we should mention, though, is that the French vills are very, very tanky, so that's going to make up big time for his lack of military. But look at this, the Changdao's on top of the skirms, which is not really where you want your skirmishers to be. The cuirassiers being called back home, but there are so many anti-cavalry units here that I think China is just going to clean this up and then move on to the villagers. It may end up being an even trade, but look at all these vills that had to get involved to make that happen.
Yeah, no kidding.
Having said that, though,
I didn't expect this fight to go this way at all. Look at that.
Stanley he's pulled every vil to make that victory happen, and now they're all just going to get back to work, which is fine. And I think somewhere we missed even more villages go down. He was on 23, but now somehow back to 16 economic unit population, and most of that is from the porcelain tower. And he goes for the and I was so confident that he would win.
I was too. I am on the complete and utterly same page as you. That last fight, I was sure that bwinner was going to
insane.
Mop up the French army, but no, he gets mopped up. I think those 5 Kiers basically won him the game. I think they mopped up the last of the villagers over here. I can't play anymore, but at those hunts,
he had 8 villagers at the end.
Joined the fight, and then that was that.
He had 8 villagers. No wonder he lost. He just lost every single gatherer he had. Those cures just ran around the map cleaning up. And then, I was saying, oh yeah, all China needs to do is fight. He's got a huge army. How can he lose? But I suppose French villagers are actually really strong. And if you kill all of your opponent's villagers at the same time, then that's a recipe for a victory. Well done to Stanley there. Picks up his 3rd game in a row.
I don't think even Stanley was prepared for that. I'm pretty sure Stanley did not expect to win that fight. I could be wrong, but I think I'm not. I don't know. That was nuts. I don't know what I saw, but I saw something. I'll tell you that.
We definitely missed the last raid. If you look at that vil graph, it is actually just it is quite a lot of it. It's quite striking. This is where you sort of question yourself and think, are mills and plantations are really that expensive? So you start asking these questions about Age of Empires 3. Anyway, shall we head on out into the next game? Well done to Stanley. That was a victory there against a lot of military unit population. Let's get into game number 4.
That was magic from Stanley Winston. Being a magician, kind of like Lord Raphael versus Diaruga and that game you mentioned.
Game 1 of the New World Championship on Kamchatka. I just thought I would watch it for some reason. I was just sort of getting lost the other day whilst I was eating my lunch. I wasn't really sure what to do. There was nothing on YouTube. This self-isolation thing, I'm running low on videos to watch. Thought I'd rewatch game 1 of the series, and it was palpable. The level of play was really, really, really high. And that game 1, I just watched it back and I thought, this is an insane Brit mirror. This is an insane Brit mirror. So I think what I'm going to do, because I keep every time, well, you'll hear me say this every time I come on stream, but I do want to get back into YouTube. When I'll do it is a different case. But what I think I'll start by doing is publishing the New World Championship on my channel, because it's something I'm really proud of. I casted most of it, and I'd like to split it up from those massive 10-hour VODs into something that's a bit more accessible. Perhaps I'll wait until DE is released before doing that, just so that the release of DE coincides with a LAN tournament being published, even though it did actually happen a year back. But
that was the LAN. That was the LAN that happened. It was the only LAN that took place since, I think, what was it, WCG or something? And it was amazing. I was home and I was watching, couldn't quite make it to Manchester, but the games were great. The production was fantastic. I'm not trying to flatter you or anything. This is objectively how it was. So it would be great to get those back a little bit more accessible than what they currently are. 100%, please do that. I'm just a total fanboy at this point. Not gonna lie.
Iowa. A map that looks... Iowa's an interesting map. And whatever people say about it, it is unique. And I want to see more unique things in AoE3. I do like, the weird twists that always make some build that may...
Yep, they took the lakes out.
Oh, what? So now it's like every other goddamn map that exists.
I'm sorry. I am so sorry to laugh, but
right, okay.
That was a very organic and genuine reaction out of you, and I'm all about that sort of thing.
Let's take a look around before we... It's just fucking Arkansas now. What the fuck? Like, if you don't like Iowa, just don't put it in the map pool. There's no need to change it that much. I'm sorry, map makers. I'm not sure. This feels exactly like Arkansas, except like the trade route goes through the middle. Anyway.
Yeah. Arizona almost, like it's just, there's just no cliff is all, but yeah, it's a.
Well, hold on. Maybe I'm judging it too soon. Let's take a look around. So, it does feel like another one of those what I call arena maps, where players start on opposing ends. There's no terrain in the middle, like no identifying features at all. It's just like a battle arena. But as far as that kind of map goes, the hunts are mostly in the middle. So you start with one kind of at home that's reasonably accessible. But then it looks like most of the hunt, it's in the center of the map. So there's nothing like left or right immediately of your town center. So it's going to be challenging to get food in that sense. So it is a map still where you will need to push into the center to get control of more hunts and have some kind of map presence. It's also a map where the trading route goes through the middle, which I must admit are maps I generally prefer. As opposed to ones like, for example, Great Plains, where the trading route goes through your base and you can just have a free trading post, which I'm not sure. I mean, obviously there's a place for that in the map pool, there's a place for that in a tournament map pool, but in general, I do like this style where it really incentivizes you to be out on the map. So all the things I said, I think those are the redeeming features of this map. It is still interesting in that sense and does differentiate it from perhaps, like I said, Arkansas, where there are just hunts like all around your TC and you can just herd them in. I mean, here you've just got the one hunt and you will have to work for the next one. We'll take a look at this treasure. 95 wood going to Stanley, which is pretty good. But let's take a look at the other. So what have we got? Lakota settlement. So that's, normally this is Cheyenne, but we're going to put the Lakota on here. Fair enough. It does more or less the same thing, except you can actually train dog soldiers? No, you can't train them. It says cost free. So I'm assuming you just get them from the big button here, which is something that I don't. No, you do get that from the Cheyenne as well, except it just doesn't cost coin. No, you don't get that from the Cheyenne. There is no dog soldier button on the Cheyenne. So that's the difference. And there is also an Inca settlement, and okay, it's just mirrored. So Inca and Cheyenne there. So yeah, the Cheyenne really, pardon me, Lakota really are much better at sort of the 30-minute mark when you can get all those dog soldiers, or perhaps earlier than that. But and Inca, well, there are some reasonable upgrades inside. Oh, that's Lakota. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Let's introduce the players. I never did this. Ottoman on the bottom of the map in the color red has gone for an early mosque and indeed a trading post on the left-hand side of the map here. Started with 3 villages, as did his opponent playing Iroquois, who also went for a trading post on this other side of the map. Not sure if they both went for perhaps... Well, I expect they both went to different sides. I thought maybe they both came to the same trading post and then another player to walk, but I doubt that's the case. If that were the case, we'd see one in the middle and not on the far end there. But overall, shall we get caught up on Age 1? Tell me what happened. Lots of treasures.
Yeah, I've been having a look at the players. It looks like they're fairly even, I think, in both regards in terms of treasures. We have like Stanley Winston got himself a nice 95 wood, a 75 food. bwinner with 70 food and 75 wood, but also some like all the coin treasures. I'd say fairly even overall, right? In Age, neither player getting a big advantage. We do have this black bear about to go down to the Ottoman Explorer though. But and he crack shots the outlaw rifleman. And
fair enough, that does make sense to do. Yes, so you've covered the treasures. He's going to build his second trading post as Ottoman. bwinner, pretty good with Ottoman, and this is a pretty normal thing for him and indeed Ottoman to do. And I expect he will get that up. He's going to get a HP boost on his Explorer when he ages. There it is, plus 100 HP, or whatever it is. And there's no way this Explorer will be able to kill him. Although it is doing some damage, which may matter sort of later on. That said, though, Stanley's War Chief is quite low. And actually, I would say the Iroquois Chief is much more valuable due to the aura. So I think bwinner quite pleased to trade his Explorer off here for his opponent's one. And then when his Explorer gets the 100 hit points, it'll just respawn next to this trading post because that's where it will sort of fall. But Stanley going to win this fight because he too gets a HP boost upon sort of hitting up to the next age there. Iroquois now up. Travois coming across the map will be placed down next to this trading post here. That means the first batch of units and indeed the shipments will actually contest this central map trading post. So a nice war hut position, a nice war hut placement. bwinner opening with 700 wood here. which I don't think is too unusual for Ottoman. He hasn't got any military buildings. Pardon me, he does. He has his building here. So this indicates a foundry, which is indeed what we're going to see. 700 wood, going to build that foundry, going to get some houses down. Possibly a market. He's not got one of those just yet. And stagecoach as well. Although in this particular game, with the Iroquois scouting party out and all of this siege that will be soon on this trading post, I don't think we'll be seeing stagecoach. But
yeah, it looks like this is actually the second time this match come up in this series, right? I think it was game 2. Also, Iroquois versus Ottoman. However, this time bwinner is not going for his patented 2TC boom. He's going for Jan Abis. So we're going to see a lot of heat here in the second age. And I think Stanley Winston is macroing for a semi-fast fortress, and we'll have to see whether or not that bites him in the butt. It may or may not. We'll have to kind of see how this pans out.
This is just High Plains, but with fewer trading posts, and actually I think that's a good thing, because High Plains probably has a bit too many, so it's kind of nice to see a High Plains style map that is doesn't have as many TPs. That's its selling point. So I'm starting to grow, the map's starting to grow on me, and it does have some sort of, I think there's a place for it in Age of Empires 3, I think is what I'm trying to say. Like how these Janissaries are sort of split up, makes the crack shot certainly less effective from the Explorer, although his name's Lamer, he's now dead, and will not be laming anymore. Looks like, though, he will take down this trading route post, and we'll move on.
The Iroquois player is moving on, taking down the Iroquois trading post, so both players trading post, which was kind of funny to say, I think. bwinner going with the whole Botto thing. I think he's pulling that one out, and Stanley might be in a little bit of trouble here, I think, if he underestimates what's going on. Why do I say this? Because I think we're seeing bwinner, I don't know, just pull out Jan, Abyss, 3 Hussars on the field. This war hut's going to be under fire.
Yeah. And those units are quite far away from home to protect it. He's using the Tomahawk to siege down the trading post, but I don't think they're going to get back in time. And even if they did, there's just too many units here.
Yeah. This is the comfort zone of bwinner, right? And Stanley Winston is going for just a nice semi that he had planned in the first game. It's about to get pretty heated here on this map, on this arena map, as you put it earlier, I think. This villager's about to die.
Yeah, that chap's not going to get much more herding done. I do like the 3-unit composition from Ottoman here, and has got more Abyss guns in queue, of course with the 600 coin behind this to fuel production. But now entering his opponent's base, and this is really what he needs to do, killing a few villagers there as his opponent's aging up, so going to get lots of work done, perhaps kill a longhouse or 2. He's already killed the war hut. Doesn't look too good, honestly, for, although, bit of a raid to kill off 2 villagers with these Kanya, so he is making use of his units whilst he's aging, whilst he can't really do anything, and does have those Tomahawks from earlier. We shouldn't forget about those, but the Travois pops out, is going to try and build itself, but bwinner identifies that and quickly destroys it.
Yep, that was a solid nope out of bwinner right there. You are not putting up the stables at all, or the warhead, I think it was. I'm sorry.
A big red rubber denied stamp.
Exactly. And and 5 villagers also went down for the Iroquois player while that other raid was going on. So, like I said, Stanley's in hot water right now. And crack shot out of the Explorer. 2 Abyss guns go down.
Forest Prowler's coming out, though. If anything, that is the unit you need to deal with a mostly Janissary composition. And he's been very diligent about killing those Hussars. So no more cavalry, and there won't be any more cavalry because there's no stable up from the Ottoman player. So nothing really to threaten the Forest Prowlers, which are going to do good work against the Jans, using those Kanya to keep the Janissaries snared and stop them from escaping, forcing them to go into melee combat to handle the Hussars, cavalry, before they can escape, and will now be able to get on out of there, but not before he loses a few to those skirmishes. And Abyss gun walking in will be quickly taken off the battlefield there, retired to a different domain. And a few more Abyss guns as well have walked in. The cavalry actually going to snare them, although it only has 0 hit points, literally 0 hit points. Regardless, though, really, really nice to kill off some of those expensive units. And it's always going to feel good to stop Ottoman from getting to that sort of critical mass of Janissaries, pardon me, Abyss guns. Getting my words mixed up today, where they can be really, really challenging to deal with. So, didn't look too good for Stanley. He lost his forward war hut there. And although he did deny the whole trading post, it looks like bwinner has gotten the route back. But he is up. Safe and sound. Lost a few villagers doing it. Let's take a look at units lost there. 5 vills went down, although he did manage to kill 2 of his opponent. So certainly took some damage, but has made it to the Fortress Age. And this is where he wants to be. This is where he can start to be effective, get those really powerful shipments out. Now rebuilding that war hut, and can play the game from this position.
Yes. One thing that I think is worth... Prior to all of this going down, Stanley Winston did take out these 2 trade posts that Ottoman had to rebuild, and only now does the red player get Stagecoach. So that set him up for like a... Basically, my point is, if those TPs had not gone down for the Ottoman player, he would be in a much more solid position. Now we still have a game on our hands, because prior to that Fortress Age, he made sure that the Ottoman player did not have those TPs up uncontested.
Yeah.
So
the Stagecoach will... Has the Stagecoach line of sight been reduced?
I'm not sure.
It looks
like it. That's not a lot of line sight.
That looks considerably reduced. That's quite peculiar. But either way, I think it will have seen these hussars. Actually, perhaps not, because bwinner is losing a lot of villagers, so I don't think he saw them at all. But he's going to get him back earlier for killing lots of vills, and indeed the Travawire in his base. Ooh, does get another one. Nicely done.
Vills.
Yeah, and evens it up completely. They're 5 Ottoman vills as well, which are definitely worth more than a regular vill, kind of.
If hopefully bwinner does get his revenge. Consolation prize, I think, more than anything.
That is a firing squad if I ever saw one.
that it was. The villagers are, for the Iroquois player, are without any spirituality. No, this time it is spirit medicine. It is. So they are only 150 HP, so just a little bit easier to pick off. Harrison would be disappointed. There's no great coats or anything else like that on the map for either player.
No, spirit medicine's quite expensive, so I will forgive him. Forgive the blue player, but for Ottoman, yeah, that is it's not an expensive upgrade, is it? But looks like though, Kanya coming in. Janissary's not the best counter, and not that many Abyss guns either. I think there's 3 over here gonna get easily dispatched. Looks like blue's gonna have a nice time handling these units. That said though, these Abyss guns on the left have not been threatened all that convincingly, so perhaps an opportunity not played to its fullest. bwinner will be pleased to keep most of those Abyss guns alive. It looks like there's Kanya coming in to try and do a bit of extra damage. Not going to achieve that though. Having said that though, the Forest Prowlers all in the back are sniping down. Indeed, these Abyss and the Jans think, okay, gonna try and get out of here. They did go into melee combat against these 2 Kanya, and doing that meant they lost a volley or 2, which was quite good. Stanley Winston making the most of his units there. So, does come out ahead overall. But he is up against an Ottoman opponent. Yes, he killed some villagers, but he has the whole coach, and doesn't pay for his vills, so he isn't spending that 100 food every 25 seconds. So we'll be able to remass, I think, reasonably effectively. Has a strong eco, is what I'm saying.
I completely agree with you on that one. The Ottoman player has enough, like, traded closely enough that I think he's going to be able to get a massive units, but that is a lot of Forest Prowlers. Holy cow. 5 Hussar do come out, but fight that, I guess. It's Cav and anti-Cav against, not Cav, just Cav.
Yeah, and I think blue comes out ahead here just because the Cav will trade evenly against each other, and then the skirmishers counter the Janissaries here. You can see them trying to run around on the Kanya. There are, however, quite a lot of Hussars still alive. The Kanya trading actually not too well. I think just well enough to neutralize the Hussars to the point where they won't be very threatening. But, yeah, those skirms, whilst they'll be weak to these 2 Huss, are still in high enough numbers to not to not be threatened overall, and there won't be another batch of hussars for some time. So those skirms are going to be okay. And now, it looks like Stanley, going to stay in the vicinity, is going to risk going up against a 5 hussar shipment, or indeed the next batch here, just to threaten these vills away. I don't think Stanley can stay here much longer and feel comfortable about it, so it's going to have to get away, which does perhaps mean these villagers could continue gathering in the center of the map there, but it looks like he's got a different plan. bwinner going to go for that Lakota settlement that I mentioned earlier. There's a hunt over in that corner that he's not seen. He does see one hunt. Perhaps he'll... No, it walks into the blackness. Will they find it?
Just barely saw it. I think.
Yeah, there it is. Either way, he's got a backup plan. He's going for that Lakota settlement, which, like the Cheyenne settlement, does have the Lakota hunting grounds for 12 bisons.
Yeah, so that's going to be a little bit more of a life for the Ottoman player as well. But he just doesn't have an army anymore, whereas the Iroquois player is kind of massing up a reasonable, force prowler, musket rider composition, and he has a lot of the field. Like, this is a few production cycles out of the Ottoman player to catch up with this.
Yeah, and I think now that is quite a convincing mass of musket riders. I think he got a batch of 5, and indeed a shipment of 5 as well. And now those forest prowlers that we mentioned earlier that might have been a bit worried about being out on the map can now feel comfortable and confident with their musket rider buddies to protect them. And they'll certainly feel a bit more confident once this stable's gone down. Then there's even less cavalry potential.
Do you think we see the big button out of the Lakota settlement for the Ottoman player?
That is a good question. So, it delivers, at the moment, 5 Lakota, and it's every 3 minutes. So, if he can hang on to the 18-minute mark, then he'll get another one. But that does seem like a while away. Although, having said that, he doesn't have the resources to... Oh, no, it's already here. So, yes, I think we will see it, is the answer to your question.
That was not rhetorical. I was thinking out loud, and lo and behold, there it is.
They're pretty strong. And normally they'd make a huge difference, but cavalry, especially big tanky cavalry like that, they need a lot of supporting units in the back to be effective. And he just didn't have the Janissary, he didn't have the Abbas mass, and the dog soldiers weren't going to be enough. They weren't going to cut it. Stanley had adequate musket riders and quite a big army in general. Overall, he does pick himself up another victory, going 4-0 so far against bwinner.
Yep, this is a lot. This is a solid performance, out of Stanley Winston right now. bwinner coming in pretty close, I think, a few times in this game, but in the end, Stanley just did not ever give up and keel over. So
yeah,
well played by him. Really, I'm really impressed with Stanley's just solid play throughout this entire series.
Yeah, Stanley doing well, and it looked dicey for him early on. I'll remind everyone that in the center of the map, he built that war hut, and it just went down. bwinner managed to take it out. He captured the whole trading route. It then was the case that bwinner was standing in his base with a huge army, just destroying things. He even killed the Travwire as it popped out when he hit age 3, but despite all that, Stanley Winston, he played it cool. He got his skirmishes out. They countered Janissaries really well. He massed up and was able to take the game in the end. And so far, yes, 4-0, a really, really solid performance from indeed the New World Challengers. As you can see, bwinner representing the Cure Management Company, and no points on the board just yet. His team manager not going to be overly pleased. I think that's Daniel, but this is exactly what Cossack needs after losing the previous series. Let's get on out into, indeed, the next game, the final game between bwinner and Stanley. I think in a match, in a series like this, the 5th and final game, when you don't have a point on the board, is, one, really concerning, because you don't want to go out without a fight. That's going to be embarrassing. So I think bwinner is going to be... This is a match where he really needs to get at least a point on the board to bring something home for his team.
I completely agree. I think and I think bwinner should be able to. I think this is a... I actually had Stanley Winston chalked up as the underdog in the series prior to coming into it. But he's up 4-0, and he's playing solidly enough that I think he can 5-0 bwinner without any problem. If the first 4 games are anything to go by, right? So I'm kind of rooting for bwinner. I would like a closer series. I would like a little bit more, between both teams and all the teams. Then again, actually, if we think about it, there was a 5-0 earlier in EPL between CMC and New World Champions.
Challengers.
Challengers. Challengers.
Do you know where I got the name from? I made it a very long time ago. It was for a series between Azamk and Yumiyu, which is still ongoing. It was a best of, there are 8 civs in vanilla, so it was a best of 17. Is that right? The idea was that you would win one game with every civ, and that was the format. And I think there was a $30 prize. But which I was putting up. No one ever won it though, since we never finished the series. But I got the idea from, I wondered, StarCraft is the most, or was the most, and perhaps is still the most popular competitive RTS game. And I think the top rank there is Challenger. And this is Age of Empires 3, so the New World Challenges. It felt like, top series between 2 players. I really like the name. And
it's a good name.
And thus New World Challenges was born. It's now been co-opted by the Premier EPL for indeed a team name, and so it lives on. I thought it was quite a good name. It's I don't know if it's unfortunate that the New World Championship also has the same initials. I suppose that's got a lot to do with the New World being in the title of both names, but yes.
That was my subconscious, I think, confusion right there. If I'm not mistaken, I'll just use that as an excuse to mix up the names.
Oh, you don't need to be embarrassed or anything like that. I'm just rambling to fill time whilst these guys figure out what map it is and indeed what civilizations they'll play. Aztec coming out from Stanley Winston on Wadmalor. Pretty good naval civilization here on what is predominantly a naval map. Purple Squid coming in with the subscription. Thank you very much.
Ooh, thank you, Purple Squid.
Or continuing the subscription for 18 months.
18 months? Holy cow. At tier 3. Wait,
holy
that's
shit.
Like a lot.
Tier 3. And it's a streak. That's impressive. I wonder what...
Squid is MVP. Holy
Squid,
cow.
show us what is the emote? I'm not even sure what the tier 3 emote is. I don't think I've ever seen it before. But yes, cheers for the continued support. I believe the revenue from Twitch mostly goes to web hosting, because the forums are not free, of course. We don't run any advertisements on the ESOC forums, and your support helps us keep that up. And indeed the YouTube ad revenue as well. And anything left over, I believe, does go to more tournaments. In the early days, I think Ryan was just funding it himself.
Yeah, I think he was paying out of pocket to keep ESOC going.
At least the website. And the donations were being, were obviously all to tournaments. But I think nowadays it's probably Noel, I think, looks after the web hosting. And I would expect that we do use the ad revenue, although I really have no idea. But
I think it's ad revenue for the website and stuff like that. That's how we keep it they keep it ad free. I'm not really a part of ESOC. And that also funds the tournaments as well. But most of the prize money is contributed by I Will Spank You, Xeely Flower, Zuda Zuda. Zuda Zuda, after his marriage, is back to throwing money at the AoE.
Yeah, he's back on form after a brief period of saving to pay for his wedding. He's now returned to form.
Yeah, so a huge appreciation to all of the donors and all the patrons who keep this going, because it's a nice fucking community. I'm sorry for dropping the F-bomb, but I just like it.
Himalayas Upper was briefly shown on the screen. Wouldn't that be a map for a 1v1?
Oh, I like that map, I think.
Isn't it played regularly in team?
Yeah, I think so. Like a part of the old team map pool. Himalayas Upper was a part of it.
Yeah, I'd like to see more Silk Road maps. That might be fun.
Oh, so would I. I actually really Silk Road is not popular, but it's actually one of my favorite RE maps. I don't know. There's just something about it that I like. It is not very hunty, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Twitch chat is a mess right now, which is fun to see.
Might be interesting to see a Silk Road map where there is just an ungodly amount of like TPs that actually have no guardians, and there's just hundreds of them all over the map, and the whole thing is like just control command points and earn resources. Or I don't know. I think when you do that, you're sneaking into a whole different game mode entirely, and it doesn't feel like AoE3 anymore. But whilst we're waiting for this match to get started, it is interesting.
Yeah. BRB toilet to Stanley Winston. But yeah, we may as well brainstorm some more map features that would piss off Diaruga.
Oh, that's the best kind of maps, right? That's why we put Tar Desert in the map pool, just to... No, it's not, but it did really piss him off. That's for sure. I like the map. You could blame Maito for that one. He convinced me... Oh, well, convinced is a strong word. We were looking for another non-TP map, and we already had Pampas Sierras as our first pick. And I think as far as non-TP maps at the time go, apparently the room is now in emote-only mode for 2 minutes. And Duck has made it happen. Alright then. Now you get to listen to me, and all you can do is spam Dan's games.
Spam a little bit too long.
What was I saying? Yeah, we needed two TP maps. So Pampas Sierras was our obvious choice. And then I think we were tossing up between Tar Desert and...
Was it Bengal?
No, it wasn't.
That's the only other...
I don't like the gameplay on Bengal, so it wasn't Bengal. It was probably... Is it Mendocino? No, the one with the weird llama creatures on it, and it looks very green.
Mendocino. It's the... what's the name? I know what
Gran Chaco?
Gran Chaco.
It was between Gran Chaco and Tar Desert. And we went with Tar Desert in the end because of, I think, actually a lot to do with it was the aesthetic. We knew there'd be a lot of viewers for this tournament, and we wanted to show off a map with different lighting and, that made use of the terrain and had the cool shadows. And Maito put a good case forward for it actually not being that uninteresting to watch. So we went with that because of the aesthetic. In fact, a lot of the map pool was meant to generate nostalgia. I actually wanted Great Plains, like original Great Plains, maybe a fixed version like we had for New England. But
that would have been nice.
I was talked down from Great Plains. Instead, we got High Plains, which was the compromise. And to be fair, it was probably a good thing.
It should have been. I think Great Plains is probably the played on the most in my life. I used to play back in 2007, mostly with Goodspeed and clanmates. And it was literally 20 Great Plain games in a row, just 8-player OBS. That was a fun time.
Yep, that's the map, man. Great Plains, goddamn. Yeah, so I wanted Great Plains because it evokes a lot of nostalgia. What else did we have? That's why Deccan was in there, just because everyone knows Deccan, and it's like one of those iconic AoE3 maps. What else did we have? New England. I think partly that's quite evocative of the New World and is quite an iconic map. But also, I really wanted to show off the gameplay of the naval ponds and stuff.
Yeah.
If we were to do a New World Championship 2 and Escape didn't stop, we'd probably have a different map pool for the next land that was maybe more competitive and maybe more Diaruga friendly. But he did well, man. He did well with the Fushwans playing China on New England. That was glorious. I love that. There were some great games. And Tavern's Revolt. I've got to re-upload that to my channel. But I think there's no need to fill time anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting into game number 5, the 5th and final game here. Stanley Winston versus bwinner. As you can see, representing CMC, Curacia Management Company, and NWC, the New World Challengers. This is the 5th and final game, as I mentioned. The score, though, is 4-0 in favor of Stanley. bwinner needs to pick up a point to bring something home to his team. And if he doesn't, it might be quite embarrassing. Going down 5-0 is never really something you want. But there have been some reasonably close games. bwinner is certainly capable of giving Stanley a good match, as we've seen. Wow, did you see that canoe? I don't know where you spawned, but Stanley got his canoe on that fish pretty much the second the game started. However, bwinner is using his canoe actually to scout the coast, and I like that because there is often treasures, such as down here, 70 food, a pot of blueberries, which you can use the canoe to basically just kill the guardians. What are they going to do? They can't swim, although maybe they should be able to. They are mammals that I expect should be able to swim. But yeah, I expect he's going to do that. And overall, that is a great use of the canoe. Just going to kite away, and we can. Oh no! Get back! That's not ideal. They can get. Move the canoe. That's not. This isn't how this works.
They
Get
don't
him.
even have to
Oh,
swim.
The
They
coyotes
just
can't.
beat you.
The coyotes can't get him. But
The bear is the better swimmer than the coyote.
can you imagine if he lost? If he lost the canoe? Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
He finally figured it out.
He's figured it. I don't think it will matter. It's a very low HP unit in general, and it's only going to go back to fishing after this. Spawning in the south of the map in the color red, we do have bwinner playing as the Ottoman. They're leaving his, pardon me, Spanish. Pardon me, Spanish. I spoke too soon. I just see Ottoman, or I see Bino more specifically, and I think Ottoman. But playing the Spanish, oh boy, I do like the Spanish. This will be interesting, because I enjoy watching Spanish. In the north of the map, in the color blue, we do indeed have Stanley Winston playing as the Aztecs, also leaving his coin on the floor. This match, perhaps a little bit more historically accurate. Spanish versus Aztecs, certainly more realistic than Sioux versus China, but not the case. I doubt these two civilizations ever met on Wadmalor specifically.
Yeah, that was going to be the one little nitpick I was going to bring up. But what about where it is? But yeah. This was a coin start, by the way, which is going to favor, I think, Spain a little bit. They won't even have to gather the coin for their fast fortress, because that's what's bwinner. That is what bwinner is going to do. Holy crap! Took me a little bit to get that out.
Bwinner.
Bwinner.
I like this. Canoe has a villager in it, or perhaps the war dog, and he's going to drop it off on the island over here and grab himself the axe. No, it's a villager. So not the Spanish war dog. That's actually up over here.
He brings the cows back.
Makes sense, right? I'm gonna put that villager on berries there.
I mean, this coin mine is like uncontested, right? You could put all your and just have them gather coin without getting idled. It's just so much less exposed than this, for example. But I don't think either of the players are going to do that.
Yeah, especially right now. He wants to click his age up button, which he's just done, going up with the governor, and then perhaps we will see this switch to coin. I mean, he does need a bit more coin. Actually, no, he's got 140 coin already. He's got 100 more on the floor, and he's going to be getting 200 from the age up. So actually, coin is not something he needs. But either way, there is a mine for free there. There's some trees. Perhaps he can send Vils back there later. For now, though, that villager just going to stay on the berries. I imagine she'll switch over shortly. But is going to stand next to this trading post with his war dog there as well, in case Aztec does rock up. He will have a bit of extra firepower with trusty Cuso, or however that is pronounced, guarding, waiting for the wood to drop down the trading post in the socket. His opponent, though, going to pick up the Hazard treasure. Hazard's computer can, worth a crate of 100 wood. And
I think you need a Vil to take that, right?
You can grab
Yes.
you do the crate. Yeah, you have to send the villager over to get it. Part of me wonders if... Oh god, that would be hilarious. Imagine if DE uses ESOC maps and this treasure makes its way in. That would be so funny.
Well, Stanley Winston is going to use Hazard's computer to this game, I guess. So he does pick that up, and the trade post does go down for the Spanish explorer, and he's back to gathering only food. So yeah, it should be a fast fortress. Spain did get a slight buff to its shipment rate. I think it's like 3% or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, they did get a little buff last patch iteration.
Yeah, and I'm pleased to see Spain getting a bit of love. And I'm also pleased to see that their rods didn't get nerfed. I would like, I think, Spain to be more well-rounded than just good at the one thing that they're good at. I wish they could have a bit more of a colonial agenda, but I can keep wishing, I suppose. But even sending colonial militia, quite preemptively as well. Not a super strong shipment at this time. It doesn't really do anything unless your opponent is sieging you. But that may well be the case, since, of course, there is a mid-map war hut here. Let's switch on over to units in queue. It does have a Puma in queue there, so perhaps there is method to this madness getting that early. Either way, we'll be gathering for the fast fortress. We don't see any military buildings from bwinner just yet. And it looks like 700 coin will be arriving. There it is. Going to use that to get himself up to the fortress age. Those cows now coming in, and perhaps he'll eat them nice and early so that he can get up just a little bit more quicker to the fortress age. Aztec, though, 700 wood followed by 5 Vils, and has got the Pumas out now, which look like that first batch. They're having a hard time pathing around that villager, but they really. The speed that they're walking, that their legs are moving, and that they're actually I got a bit
I was quiet
distracted
for a second.
Yeah, both of us,
was
I
really
think.
like, is that what he's gonna bring up? Because that's what I'm noticing. Yeah.
That was
Looks like
weird.
they're going to make a beeline for that TP with their speedy little legs and try to take that down. They should be able to pick that up for free.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be challenging, is it? When you're 48 siege, it's going to be something you can destroy quite quickly. At least though, Spanish does get a couple of passes, and it does distract Stanley because he does have to send his units all the way across the map here, and that means they're not going to be sieging him. But it also means that his colonial militia isn't really going to be doing anything either. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But he's now up to the next stage, and by the looks of it, it will be going up with the Admiral of the Ocean Sea.
Oh, really?
So gonna grab himself.
Use the caravel here to help defend your base or something. I don't know.
That's a good question. Like, where will it be useful is the question. I don't know how much, if it's got enough range to necessarily supply all that much defense. I mean, you could sit it in there. There's no cliffs anymore though, so that's not really a choke point anymore. So actually, it's not super helpful. You also do get 400 wood, which means you can build a few more houses. Often as Spain, you sort of run out of housing pretty quickly after the 700 wood shipment, and you just build all those houses. So 400 wood is going to keep that up. And it's not like he needs like 8 pikes or 4 cav instantly, especially when you're up against, a civ with units like Puma Spearmen. So Colonial Militia will defend, and he'll get a bit of extra eco, and his Spanish FF will be a bit more powerful overall. Oh, you fled there. I see. I thought, what could possibly be going on that island? That's really clever.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I saw it, and I'm like, smart. I felt like that was worth pointing out.
Are all his houses there? Like, there is one initial house from the Discovery Age, but that makes a lot of sense.
You can't siege my houses if they're not in my base, I suppose.
Yeah, and he's got a caravel as well to protect that island should his opponent try to use that canoe. It's going to be really risky to get units onto the island. So it does mean that if Stanley figures it out and thinks to himself, where are all the goddamn houses? Oh, they must be on the island. It's not something he can just go and siege for free. He will have to invest in, a dock or a naval shipment or something just to get units onto that island. Anyway, these are all very small things. I think we're just talking about the small minutiae of the game whilst we wait for this to really kick off. Because, of course, Spain is now about to enter that portion of the game where we will really start seeing them do things. 9 rods coming out. And has got a few musks, which he trained in transition, getting ready for that falconet shipment. And I think Stanley also gearing up for a powerful timing. The caravel, though, has found a house to siege.
Yep. That's really clever using, the caravel. Oh, I can get this house for free. I'm not going to take any damage. Test my caravel with your puny little canoe. So this house is gone. But now the coyotes are moving into the Spanish base.
Yeah. But he's got good anti-cavalry here. The muskets and the rods going to be quite effective against all those coyotes. And if he pops the cannons in the right spot in between this gap where the houses where the skirms just spawned, they'll be really, really effective there, as he can be very tough for those coyotes to get in on top of him. We're going to see a Spanish shipment arrive any second now, so this bwinner does need to be really diligent where it spawns, depending on what it is. Remember, he also has Colonial Militia, and is using it. There are 10 vills inside, so lots of extra bonus damage coming out of this TC, and will even up this fight for him. But the Coyotes have now made their way through all of the rods. There's no anti-cav left, and they are on top of those skirms. Stanley was just, I think, perhaps even scouted the Colonial Militia, and was just, 2 falconets coming out now. Are going to get a big volley on the Mace Halton. No, they're not. But he does manage to shoot the Coyotes, but that's not quite as impressive. Either way, has held. But I think I really like what Stanley did. He didn't sort of trickle units in there and lose them against the CM. Came in with a really powerful timing just before the falconets arrived and dispatched most of the units there before they could be at their full strength, at the proper composition.
Yeah, absolutely. These falconets are on the field now, but they can't really do anything. Kind of stuck in base. Any movement out of the Spanish base at this point is going to forfeit the ragtag army of bwinner at this point. So I think Stanley Winston really hit that a really good timing. I think you're completely correct in pointing that out. if you care, that canoe from Stanley Winston is going to go down over here. But I think the real story of this game is still at the Spanish base.
No, worth pointing out, no canoe left. It didn't really put up much of a fight against Pinta, which has a lot of hit points. I wonder if you start fishing with the Caravel here. It fishes at the same rate as a fishing boat, but obviously loses its ability to auto-retaliate. I think you do, simply because there isn't going to be any fishing, and in theory you should be able to react quickly if it does start to get under siege. That's something we rarely see players do, actually fish with their warships. But anyway, you are right. That was something rather minor, which I've then gone on a not particularly interesting tangent.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Aztec with a bunch of army left over. He has some Mace Sultans, 10 or so Puma Spearmen, and some Coyotes. They did run in and pick off the Falcon. So Spain has like very little left, if anything at all. I guess you could get a few rods out to deal with the Coyote. But yeah, a little bit dicey, I think, for bwinner. I think he was happy to begin with, but
where are those falconets? I don't see them.
They are gone.
They're gone?
Yeah, the Coyotes came in and like killed them off.
Oh.
Well, yeah, I shouldn't have pointed out that canoe because it diverted attention away.
I thought he was just sitting here in his base waiting and still had his falcons.
There was a Coyote running, and he just
they just ran in and killed them.
Yep, they also died for it, but yeah,
okay.
There's no more falconets on the field for the Spanish player.
Ouch. Ouchie. Fair enough. Okay, he's lost his falconets. Remember though, Spain does have faster shipments now, so there is that. He can field units. Let's take a look at units in queue. Currently rods. Rods?
I think rods are the perfect answer at this. Well, not the perfect, but are a good answer in this situation. That's a lot of Coyote runners, and rods are pretty beefy as units. Mix in a few Hussar, some Lancers. I think you could make something happen.
Yeah, rods deal with the Coyotes really effectively, and then against the Puma, I think they trade quite well, simply because they've got high resist and higher base damage compared to a Puma, whose multipliers are more specialized at dealing with cavalry. Although 12 is quite high, but I suppose Pumas do cost a lot. And there's only a few mace here, which is, I guess, pretty strong against a mostly rod army. But no, he's starting to switch to skirms here, so does have a few rods. 5 Lancer shipment. Not sure how I feel about that. Lance is obviously a strong unit, but not against Coyote runners, and not really against Puma Spearmen either. But if they can find themselves on top of the mace, if they sort of go around the back, that will be effective. Currently, though, neither player wanting to commit. I suppose Stanley feels like he has the map and the hunts, and he probably knows his opponent doesn't have any food there. There are berries on this island. There are berries in his base, but the lizards are about to run out here, the giant salamanders, and he will have to find a new food source. And also, Stanley is probably aware that his town centre has CM on it, and, well, there's no need to really go in there and take any risks. He's got the map. Just stick with that advantage and make them come to you.
Yeah, no, and not to mention like the colonial militia as well is like still in play for the Spanish player. I think he still has his big button of CM left, so I think Stanley's going to be like very cautious around that. He doesn't want to throw this by overcommitting in the Spanish base, but he's just going to starve out his opponent and mass just so many Coyote runners. He did send the upgrade Coyote Combat, and I think he's just looking for a swamp play at this point.
Just keep massing, nothing wrong with that. Let's take a look at Spain's deck and see what he can make. He shipped 5 Lancers. I guess there's no other rod shipment in here, which would have been ideal. There is pikes, but he's researched the vet rod upgrade and not the pike upgrade, so not ideal there. He'd already sent the Hussars, so I guess Lancers was like the only thing he could have sent, unless he sent like a crate shipment. But really not much left, and now it looks like Stanley feels like he's in a position where he can take the fight despite knowing his opponent has CM. He's got the war dance going. Let's take a quick look. Only 4 warrior priests affecting this, but still sufficient units, I think, to do a lot of damage. The Lancers are not where they need to be. They need to be on these Mace Halton. The rods being picked off quickly by the number of stones being slung at them. And I think Stanley going to pick himself up a very convincing fight here to end his 5th and final game in the series. and pick up the 5-0 win. Really, really impressive standing from him here. The Queercia Management Company going to be very, very pleased indeed.
Yeah. GG. That was really well played by Stanley Winston. I think he did just really well throughout the entire series. There were no glaring mistakes, and bwinner was unable to take even a single map off of him. Really well played.
Yeah, not going to feel too good about that. Wicked Cossack going to be feeling pretty good. His team, and indeed Diroga on that team as well. It looks like their spreadsheet, their diligence preparing for the purchasing of the players has paid off, because Stanley seems to be on form, doing very, very well against bwinner in this playoff 5.
I wonder if they had a spreadsheet to prepare this match too, because this was quite the stomp, really. But perhaps all according to Wicked Cossack's plans.
Yeah. Well, I know his spreadsheet basically told them where to stop bidding. They had values on all players, and they could essentially see, oh, we think this player's being sold for much, much less than he's worth. We're going to keep bidding. Oh, this player's now being purchased for too much. We're going to stop bidding. They kind of had some monumental algorithm. I don't know what they had. I'm really interested to know, but those must be trade secrets. But yes, perhaps it's also being applied to fielding the players, because this was a very successful pairing for them. Let's take a look at the post-game here and take a look at that military unit population. I think we'll be at it. Is this where the spikes hit, at the sort of in between the 7:35 and the 11:20 mark on that timeline there? Or, no, that was a bit later on. It was here, I think, the Falcons. That's about 10.
Yeah, that was 10:29 dip right there. The Coyotes were traded in for the Falcon. But I mean, the Falconets are just so much more valuable than 6 or 7 Coyote, right? So
the you're absolutely right. The Falconets are what ties all of the Spain's crappy unit shipments together. I mean, on their own, 12 pikes and 9 rods are just not great shipments compared to 5 goons and 8 skirms rather. Yeah, you need those 2 Falcons to really tie everything together and make it relevant. But without them, yeah, that's a great trade. And then you can see here, Spain just finds it difficult to mass. Aztec just spams a bunch of units and doesn't let his opponent have any map, since he's gathering berries this whole time. Really nice game, really nice series. Very well done. The victory, 5-0.